Тема моей защиты, моей дипломной работы «Влияние прямых иностранных инвестиций на инновационное развитие экономики». Презентация будет на английском языке. So, first of all, I would like to start from the main definitions from my work. Of course, it's innovations and foreign direct investments. First of all, innovation. It's clear what does it mean innovation, but of course, innovation is about creating value from knowledge. First of all, it can mean the provision of new goods and services to the market or the new types of the production. And the key input of innovation is, of course, knowledge. Without knowledge, we cannot create any kind of innovations. This kind of knowledge, they can come from a formal process such as research and development, or they can be indigenous knowledge developed over the countries, over the centuries in the learning process. Innovation is driven by the entrepreneurs who takes risk and create some new products. Talking about foreign direct investments, it is an investments in a foreign country where the investment part, it can be corporation or firm, they usually retains control over the investments, and although they can include taking the minority stakes. There are a lot of different factors that affect the innovation level of the development of the country, but I would like to pay your attention at the main of them. It's of course location factors and innovation development indexes. In terms of location factors, you can find this information in the view material. There are a lot of different factors, but main of them it's size of the local markets, is growth of the market, presence of suppliers, etc. There are a lot of them. Talking about indexes, of course, there are a lot of different indexes, but I think that the main of them is, of course, Innovation Capacity Index and Global Innovation Index. The Global Innovation Index you will find a little bit later in my work, and of course you can find a lot of tables in terms of this Global Innovation Index in the view material also. But the purpose of my master thesis is not just look at the definition. Of course, it's show how the foreign direct investments can affect the innovative development of the country and how are they important for the country in general. First of all, it's important to have a brief look at the world in general. So first of all, we can see the information about the Global Innovation Index ranking. We can see that the score for such countries as Switzerland, Sweden, United Kingdom are the highest scores. And also we can see that these countries, they have the highest income level. So there are the higher correlation between the innovation development of the country and the income of the country. Of course, it's very important to have a look how countries spend of their gross domestic how big are their gross domestic expenditure on the research and development. And we can see that the most innovative countries are spent a lot of money in their innovation by themselves. Such countries as Canada, Denmark, Germany, Ireland, and etc. The whole table you can find in the view material. And also we can see that the transition of the foreign direct investments, of course the highest level of these investments is going to the developed countries. Still they are going to the developed countries. But also the big part of them is coming to the developing countries from the Asia, from the South America, and also we can see that just a little bit, but it exists the part of the transition economies such as Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, so they also can be found in this graph. But what can we say about the Ukraine? It's very important that Ukraine has a great potential. Why great potential? Because we are a big country. We have a lot of people. The people can work. We have a lot of resources. We can produce. But there are a lot of different problems in Ukraine, and I would like to have a brief look at these problems a little bit later. So first of all, I would like to pay attention at the flow of the foreign direct investments in Ukraine. And you can see that this flow increased rapidly since the 2000s, and this increased in more than 10 times. So the foreign direct investments, they are coming in our country, but they are still very, very small. Talking about the same information, but I just presented in a graph. Talking about the countries which are mostly invest in our country, it's Germany. I think that we shouldn't speak about Cyprus and Virgin Islands. So Germany, Netherlands, Russian Federation, they are the main investors, and we can see that this investment flows, they increased since 2006 till this year. They increased, but not so much, but still they increase. It's good position. After that, I would like to pay attention that still Ukrainian companies and firms, they invest, they have their own investments in a big part. So the own funds and state budgets, they are at the leading position, and only foreign investments, they are smaller than own funds. But this tendency difference during the last years. So why, if we have such big potential, why we still have such small foreign direct investments flows? First of all, is problems with our legal and administrative barriers. Of course, we have problem with our privatization and competition policy. It's problem with perception of economic reforms. It's lack of incentives. It's political hurdles and crimes. I'm not talking about the normal crimes. I'm talking about economical crimes. And my recommendations, first of all, is to reduce